Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. So, chapter 903 of One Piece is out. So if you haven't checked out that chapter yet, I suggest that you do so, because I will be spoiling you. But now that you have, let's begin. Bro, this chapter made me cry. It was so damn hype. This chapter was unbelievably hype. Just reading this, oh my god, it killed me. But more important than the start of this meeting is the news that has grabbed the attention of the whole world. Big Mom, the emperor whose position has not wavered in decades, has had fangs bared at her by the young pirate Straw Hat Luffy. And according to certain sources, Straw Hat Luffy has 7 powerful pirate crews serving under his flag, with one of them being a great captain that commands a fleet of 5,000 subordinates. With the legacy of his brother Ace behind him, the fact that he is the sworn brother of the second in command of the Revolutionary Army has also become a hot topic across the world. But with his extraordinary charisma and leadership, he was able to convince the evil army of Germa, the Sun Pirates, and the Fire Tank Pirates to follow his commands without delay. With his intelligence, he carefully planned this operation, and in the process, he managed to destroy the Queen's castle. His strength allowed him to defeat 2 commanders worth over 800 million and over 1 billion, respectively. Therefore, this incident is surely Straw Hat Luffy's victory. The 5th Emperor of the Sea has emerged. Oh my god. Oh Jesus. Alright guys, so we know that not all of this is true, right? Like, Luffy's kind of piggybacking off of Capone's plans a little bit. A lot of this is incredibly misleading, but a lot of it is also just straight up the truth. And for the world to discover this, it's just too much for me to handle. Now you know, although they might overhype Luffy just a little bit. But I'm fine with that. Challenge accepted. Oh yeah, and I haven't even mentioned Luffy's new bounty, 1.5 billion, man, what's up? Now I'm going to be real with you guys, I was not a huge fan of all the bounty predictions coming out of Whole Cake Island, and I don't think I ever made a video where I discussed this, but I did mention it on Twitter, and regardless of whether you know or you didn't know, I'm eating crow on this one because I didn't even think that Luffy would get over 1 billion. For the majority of Whole Cake Island, I wasn't even convinced that anybody would get a bounty increase. But here we are. But with the way that Morgan's described the news, the bounty makes sense to me. The world is specifically overhyping Luffy. The media is a fan. But at the same time, you get the sense that the real players in the New World, the actual Yonko, Big Mom, Kaido, Shanks, and Blackbeard, know that Luffy is not quite there yet. And in fact, might be more eager than before to prove to the world that Luffy is not ready. Which we should definitely see coming to a head soon, given that Kaido is up next. But honestly guys, I don't really want to talk about this chapter for very long. This is a chapter that I just think is just best enjoyed. Just read the damn chapter. You don't need to talk about it. We all know this is just the hypest shit possible. Sanji gets a raid suit. Will he use the raid suit or not? Seems to be a legitimate question. I saw somebody mention on Twitter, maybe Usopp used it in some way. I really don't know. But this was also a fan theory that a lot of people had, and I would not be surprised if Sanji ends up putting it on eventually. Nami has now obtained Zeus, who lives inside of her wand. This was again another fan theory that just happened to be proven truth at the very end of this arc. I don't think that she's going to keep Zeus forever, but up until they meet Big Mom again, obviously, he seems to be content where he is. I do want to make a video talking about Zeus sometime later on in the week. Because if I end up talking about Zeus here, it will be about 80% of the entire reaction to the chapter. Sanji's bounty increased to 330 million, coincidentally 10 million higher than Zoro. Enter all of the Zoro saltiness. But I'm going to be real with you guys, and I think a lot of people are probably going to mention this in the comments. Did Sanji really do anything to deserve an increase in bounty over Zoro? Questionable at best. Especially since the cake didn't really do anything in the short term, and Sanji didn't really fight anybody during Whole Cake Island. That being said, 330 million. What's up, Zoro? Who the vice captain now? Enjoy this time while you can, Sanji fans, because come Wano, come the conclusion of Wano, I would be surprised if this stays the case. Moving on, Shirahoshi is definitely coming to the Reverie. This is something that I assumed kind of would already happen, but I forgot that it actually has to be confirmed by her because she was kind of nervous. So Shirahoshi is coming. This is big news. This is incredibly important. If this had not occurred, then I would have looked pretty foolish, honestly. And we got to see Kobe again, and Kobe bringing that gar pipe. We're going to have to change his name to Kobe the Hero. Incredible observation hockey tanks a missile without suffering a scratch. The hero who saved the people from the Rocky Port incident, which was instigated by Trafalgar Law. Right before our eyes, Kobe has become a force within the Marines. And still a fanboy of Luffy. Loved Kobe's moment from this chapter. And also, as a side note, I love that Mad Kyros respect. A lot of people don't respect Kyros for some reason or other from Dressrosa just because they don't think that he's an overly important character, but Kyros was incredibly strong, and I love that Kobe acknowledged that. I also thought that it was interesting that Rebecca wants to have a conversation with Kobe about Luffy. Like, I'm just curious where Oda might go with that, because obviously, the way that it seems to me is that she mentioned Luffy offhand. I don't think she knows anything about Kobe. And then Kobe read the newspaper, he started crying, and that just gave her, the realization, this dude knows Luffy. He likes Luffy. He's some kind of fan. But I really do think that this could be important going forward, establishing this relationship. Potentially, the relationship develops more throughout the course of whatever occurs during the Reverie. Also, is it now a thing to potentially ship Kobe and Rebecca EOS? I'm just gonna throw that out there. I want no part of it. I just thought that occurred. Have the floor. Speaking about Kaido specifically, he seems to be actually a little bit upset that Luffy decided to mess with Big Mom when they sort of already had a conflict brewing. It's kind of disrespectful. Or maybe Kaido's just thinking that this dude is an idiot, or maybe if we don't know Kaido that well, maybe Kaido is just a little bit happy that somebody would be this stupid. Somebody who, honestly, Kaido might be able to relate with. Somebody who clearly has a death wish. So I understand in the panel, Kaido looks angry, that bastard Straw Hat Luffy, but the idea is in the next panel, the one that Oda never shows us or never will show us, Kaido actually tears up a little bit. That bastard wants to die too. There isn't really much to say about Blackbeard other than his comments are on point. You have Big Mom, who clearly, as we've been talking about, is extremely upset at Luffy and is going to be looking for immediate revenge. Something like what we learned in this chapter, the Fishman officially breaking ties with Big Mom. That makes Fishman Island a target. Or she might choose to follow the strats to Wano, as we will discuss in the video about Zeus. Zeus is a tracker, which Big Mom can use to follow Luffy anywhere. Or if for some reason or other she decides to sit on her ass for several days, and then Luffy leaves whatever ends up happening in Wano and goes to Elbaf, maybe Big Mom intercepts him in Elbaf. Again, because she has a way to track him. And lastly, guys, we end off the chapter on that Shanks hype. Luffy, it's almost time for us to meet. If you guys remember from the beginning of the story, they weren't supposed to meet until Luffy was a great pirate. That time is soon. Shanks knows it. But anyway, guys, as I said, I want to keep the reaction to this chapter relatively short because I do not think that there's a whole lot of discussion, and I think the discussion detracts from what this chapter really was, which is a chapter to simply read and enjoy. This chapter was approximately 90% fan service, and I loved it. As always, let me know what you thought about it, whether you noticed anything from this chapter that I may have missed. Just share your thoughts. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.